Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk to you about how parents, the Guru Har Krishan Public School, and the Vidya Vichari Trust can work together to make a better future for our children. But before I go into detail on this topic, I want to start by telling you a story about a girl called Alka. I was lucky enough to work with Alka for a couple of years. And while I worked with her, I learned more about her story. Alka came from a village where her family and most families in the village did not think it important to educate girls. At the age of 9, Alka told me that she had an experience that led her to believe that the only way for her to change her life was through education. And what an amazing thought that was. She got her support of her mother, who brought her into a school. And because she was determined, she worked to learn and to get to the top of her class. And because she was a constant topper, she got her principal, who decided to pay her fees, or at least half of her fees, while she was being educated. By the time she got to the 10th, and had passed the 10th, a lot of the advisors to her family started to say, look, why are you spending even half that fees on a girl? Why don't you actually take her out of school, teach her the things that she would need to know to make a good mother and a good housewife, and get her married off? But Alka was determined, and so she decided to go on a hunger strike and got her parents to agree to let her complete her schooling up until the 12th. At that point, of course, she had done wonderfully well, and she got admission in all the top colleges in Delhi University. And she only applied to those colleges because, as she calls it, an angel uncle suggested to her parents that she should be allowed to study further. Her parents decided to get her admission into physics within Miranda House, and she started her bachelor's there. Now, having been educated in a Hindi medium school, what ended up happening was in Miranda House, where the education was in English, she was surrounded by a lot of girls that were all very proficient in English. She started to realize that there was a gap in her education. And as her grades started to go down because of a lack of command of English, when her professors found out that she was from a Hindi medium school, what did they do? They actually said to her, oh, yeah, Hindi medium students do get admission in Miranda, but they leave after failing. But of course, this was not going to deter Alka. Alka decided that she's going to prove her professors wrong. And so she decided to befriend a bookseller who gave her books to read. She started to widen her understanding of the larger world. She also started to work on understanding the English language and worked very hard to turn her grades around. By the time she was in final year, and as companies came for placement of students, she was always doing well in her written exams. But when it came to group discussions or interviews, she still failed them because, especially in group discussions, it was very difficult for her to engage with all of these proficient English speakers that were around her. She decided to do a master's, and for her master's, she actually got the Indian government to give her a grant as a woman in STEM subjects in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And she did her master's in physics at Delhi University. By now, she had realized that she had a strength that a lot of girls in her village didn't have, and decided that she wanted to be a role model for these girls. So she decided in her mind that she was going to get the highest degree possible and found out that that was a PhD. So she did her PhD in physics in Jawaharlal Nehru University, another great university of our country. And on completion of that PhD, or in fact, while she was doing her PhD, she engaged with me and my team to learn artificial intelligence. And she actually worked with us for a couple of years. After that, she ended up getting a job as a professor at the University of Petroleum and Engineering, Energy Studies in Dehradun. But even now, when I talk to her, she says she's taken on this job in academia only because she believes academia gives you time to think, for her to figure out what is it that she really wants to do in life. What an amazing story. But here are the things that she wishes. She wishes she had read extensively early in life. She wishes that she had better English skills when she finished school. She understood, she wishes she understood higher education better. And when she finished school, she wished that she understood what were the careers that she could produce and align her degree programs with the careers that interested her. She also wished that she had better soft skills at the time that she completed her graduation. And what I want to talk to you about today is what are these skills and how can we work together to improve the outcomes for our children here at the Guru Har Krishan Public Schools. Now, the fact of the matter is that tomorrow's world is going to be very different to the world that Alka started to work in, and indeed the world that we started to work in. And the key differentiation is going to be the fact that in the very near future, humans are going to have to collaborate with robots. What jobs are impacted? How are they impacted? These are all uncertain things. And so we need to create in our children skills that are going to be relevant no matter what uncertainties we throw in front of them. If you don't believe me, let's look at some examples. Recently, there have been protests in Hollywood where script writers are complaining about artificial intelligence taking over their jobs. But rather than looking at it negatively, a better way to look at it is in a positive light. Here, I'm showing you a story that I was able to write despite not being a story writer or a very creative person. The images here have been created using artificial intelligence. I collaborated with artificial intelligence to be able to write a story that I'm proud of, and I would not have been able to do without AI. So collaboration is the answer rather than fearing and trying to block a technology that is definitely going to impact our lives in the near future. As a software engineer, I used to write code like this. These are called computer programming languages. This particular one is called Python. And this is what I have done for the last 30 years of my life. But now we have the ability to talk to computers in English, where we have to describe what we want it to do, and it can write its own programs and do what we are asking it to do. So the future of even software engineering jobs is where we collaborate with artificial intelligence, with computers, with robots that can write code for us and produce what we need. And what do you think we need for that? We need to be able to explain very clearly in English what we are looking for. And that skill itself, this ability to communicate, is something that I find a lot of children struggling with. So in the future, it's not going to be about learning just programming languages, but it's also learning how to explain what you're interested in, to be able to tell stories about what you want the computer to do. And why is this important? Well, according to a recent article, Airbnb, a company based out of the US, has been able to rewrite code software which would have taken humans 18 months to do, according to their own calculations. They were able to rewrite that in 6 weeks. And so they've created great efficiency within their jobs. If you think that, well, I don't want to be a software engineer and I don't want to be necessarily a script writer for movies or an author of books or stories, think again, because these are only examples. In 2024, the Nobel Prize for Physics was won by artificial intelligence researchers. In fact, in 2024, even the Nobel Prize for Chemistry was won by artificial intelligence researchers who have made substantial contributions to science itself. So even if you're thinking that you want to become a scientist, you're going to surely have to use artificial intelligence to make a success of your career in that domain. And the truth of the matter is, whether you want to become a lawyer, an accountant, a business manager, an HR manager, somebody looking after supply chain, any job, you're going to have to use artificial intelligence in the future. And believe me when I say this, that it is going to be humans that understand how to use artificial intelligence to increase their own efficiency in their job, that are going to be taking jobs away from other humans that do not know how to do that. And therefore, it is very important that we start to focus now on how our children can graduate from school with skills that other children don't have, because the world is a competitive one and the competition is going to become only more and more as we see artificial intelligence improving in the quality of output that it can produce. So I have set the context for what I wanted to talk to you about. Now let's look at how we can prepare our children for this AI world that they're going to be living in. Now, the AI revolution, as it's called, some people call it, an industrial revolution 4.0, right? Because we've had previous revolutions where we have brought in steam engines into manufacturing, or we brought in the internet and so on. And what they're talking about now in this new AI revolution is the automation of a lot of jobs. We've seen some examples already. It is beyond just tool usage or machine usage, right? We are actually going to have to understand AI's impact, not just know how to use it like a driver of a car. We need to understand the engine as well to get the most out of that artificial intelligence. And we are going to have to focus very carefully on skills that humans must develop, because otherwise the humans will not be able to compete with artificial intelligence. And it is these skills that can help humans succeed in an AI world that are called durable skills. These are skills that will last for a long, long time. And these skills are, the first skill is learning how to learn. Why is that important? Because in our lives, unlike our forefathers who could study in their youth, then go into Grahast Jivan, where you actually looked after a family and provided for the family, and then you went on to essentially retire and go into the forest and try and find peace of mind. You're now, throughout your life, you're going to have to reinvent yourself. You're going to have to learn new skills. As certain skills get taken over by AI, how can you trump the AI? By learning more. And at that time, it's not going to be teacher-led learning, right? Where the teacher stands in front of you and teaches and you learn and then you're going to go and apply that. You have to learn yourself. And the most important thing there is curiosity and self-directed learning, where you're curious about changes that are happening in the world. You are looking to improve your understanding. And how can you do that? Only if you develop what is called a growth mindset. Believe in yourself that you can actually learn new things on your own. Another really important durable skill is critical thinking and judgment. Knowing when you look at information, whether this fact is true or it is misinformation. Today, AI can generate a lot of misinformation and confuse you about what is really happening in the world. Understanding biases within narratives that are created. Being able to reason analytically, think analytically, and make judgments and decisions that are going to be leading you to success. And finally, we talked about curiosity, but the other pillar here is creativity and innovation. We are going to have a great imagination. Our children will need to imagine a new world, a better world than they are in. They are going to have to be able to design solutions based on that imagination. They are going to have to be able to communicate with other people through storytelling, and they'll have to work together in groups where people have different skills and you're working together to create that innovation that is going to lead to success in your life. But none of this is actually taught within the CBSE curriculum. And so the question is, how do we actually work on this? And what I want to propose is that if we get together and we invest in our children, we can definitely create these durable skills. And we will look further down in this talk as to how that can be done. Now, change is inevitable. In fact, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji also said that why worry about uncertainty when the only thing certain in the world is uncertainty about the future. And so what we want to create for our children is we want to build resilience. The resilience that our forefathers showed when partition took place and they had to leave their lives in what is now Pakistan and come to India. The resilience that they had to show when the riots took place that they were part of and they had to build their lives again. The resilience that they had to show when floods or natural disasters destroy lives and they've had to build their life again. The same is going to happen for our children in the job market. They're working in the job market, they're working in a job which has suddenly disappeared because it has got automated. How are we going to give them that belief, that self-belief, that they can reinvent themselves and create a new career for themselves? What's going to be really important also is that our children are ethical. They understand the impact of what they're producing as innovators. They are able to be compassionate to other human beings. They are able to responsibly use AI to make sure that they're not creating weapons of mass destruction with AI. They are instead using AI to help other human beings. AI, like any technology, can be used for good and for bad, right? You can create AI that creates a small drone that can fly doing face recognition, land on their target's forehead, and release a bomb that destroys the skull of the person and destroys their brain and kills them. Or you can create AI that can help farmers improve their yield of their crop and therefore give us more food security in our country. The choice is ours. And to make those choices, we need to create ethical foundations for our children. Of course, these children are going to be working and communicating with other members of their team. We have to train them to work effectively, express their ideas clearly, and to resolve conflicts through negotiation and leadership if they are to be successful in the future. The future is digital. And by digital, we mean today we do a lot of transactions. Money is becoming unfashionable. We are doing transactions online. We are watching videos and content that is generated and available in computers. All of this kind of data is digital. Even in medicine, when we went to a doctor and got an X-ray done, earlier it was an image that was given to us. Now that image is on a computer, it's digital. So computational literacy, understanding coding, understanding how to solve problems, which is referred to as algorithmic thinking. How do you think through how to solve a problem? How do you describe to the computer how to solve the problem so that the computer can solve the problem? These are going to become important. As data becomes king and we have to use data for solving problems, understanding data, not fearing statistics, not fearing graphs that show us data, these are going to become very, very important tools for us. And of course, when we are making decisions in an uncertain world, we have to model that uncertainty in some way. And the mathematical method for modeling uncertainty is called probability. And if we have to make predictions about what's going to happen in the future so that we can make decisions and take actions that are going to make us successful in the future, we are going to have to understand how probability works. So the days where we can get away without being proficient in mathematics are over. We have to take mathematics by the horns and we have to understand that mathematics and we have to love that mathematics and use it in our daily lives. So what we are talking about is holistic growth of our child, going well beyond the classroom because the classroom doesn't give these opportunities. We want them to be children that understand science, that understand humanities, that understand art, and they have a global perspective. They understand, are aware of what's happening in the world. We can't live locally. We are connected to the world through the internet. We are getting influences from all over the world. We want our children to be able to identify what's wonderful and what's not wonderful about the exposure they are getting. Not everything from America or England is great. Not everything from America or England is bad either. For our children to be successful, they have to open up their minds and take the best out of every culture in the world because no culture, believe me, is better than another. Every culture has some amazing things about it. And if our children can learn to absorb what is good and ignore what is bad, then they're going to be successful in their lives. So I'd like to spend some time now to talk about what is the role that the parents can play here. What you can do is, firstly, foster curiosity. Encourage children to ask questions. One of the things that I find quite frustrating is that typically in India, we tell our children to keep quiet when elders are speaking. We don't want them to participate in conversations that we think is not relevant to them, like our finances in our house. We don't want them to be engaging in conversations we are not comfortable talking to them about. We've got to stop that. We've got to make them feel comfortable. We've got to make them feel they can ask questions because asking questions and exploring topics is what is referred to as curiosity and is going to lead to them to become self-learners. The second thing we want is for you to allow them to embrace failures. Not failures in exams because they didn't study, but failures despite putting their best. Because when we acknowledge failures and we don't make them feel that, oh, you have embarrassed your family and your elders and give put a lot of pressure on them. We don't do that emotional atyachar, as we say. We are teaching them that failures are an opportunity to learn, because when you fail, you look at it and say, why did I fail? Rather than saying, oh my God, I failed, I should hide this from others. You're actually seeing this as a part of learning. Remember this, that if you've never failed in life, you have probably taken a very safe route and you were capable of a lot more than where you are today. It is only when you fail, you realize that you've gone outside your comfort zone. You're trying to do something that is beyond your current capabilities. And it's only then that learning takes place. So celebrate their failures. Tell them, fantastic, I'm so proud of you that you took on an opportunity that you were not sure of succeeding in. You went out there, gave your best. Yes, you failed, but let's look at why you failed. Let's understand that. Let's teach them resilience of how to bounce back from a failure. You have to be a role model for them. If you are not learning today and feel that, oh, I don't need to learn, I have a secure job, change that. Show them that learning is important on a daily basis. If we get a new smartphone and we don't explore it to get the most out of that smartphone, what we are showing them is that we have stopped learning. Every opportunity, you know, we got Paytm to do electronic transactions. Those who say, oh, that's too difficult for me to learn, if you use that language, then the children are also going to use that language and they're not going to be continuous learners, which is what they need to be. And finally, talk about what is fair and not fair. If you say to children, hey, it's not okay ethically to bribe someone, then the next time that a policeman stops you at a traffic light, don't pay him money to try and get away from being given a ticket. You've got to live the life that you want your children to live. It's not okay to say something to children and do something else, because children are watching you. So if you are fair, if you are responsible, that's when children will become responsible. If you are kind, children will become kind. If you look to impact other people's lives positively, your children are going to grow up with a desire to impact lives positively. A very important point that I've kind of touched upon earlier is this idea of a growth mindset and a growth culture. When we talk about having a growth mindset, we think of within my brain. I have a growth mindset or don't have a growth mindset. What new research tells us is you have to create an environment or a culture around you of a growth mindset. Whether you're a parent, whether you are the CEO of a company, or whether you're a teacher. And here's a great example in Satya Nadella. And we can see this is where the Microsoft price of stock was, $36 approximately, when he became CEO. And today, the stock price is well over $400. And what has he changed? He has changed the culture in Microsoft to be a growth culture. He says, I am defined by my curiosity and thirst for learning. I buy more books than I finish. I sign up for more online courses than I can complete. I fundamentally believe that if you are not learning new things, you stop doing great and useful things. And look at the impact he has had. And why do we need impacts only from CEOs of companies? If we look back at history, in 1699, when Guru Gobind Singh created the Khalsa Panth, he created a growth culture within that Panth. He gave them the self-belief that no power is too strong for you to fight against if it is doing something wrong. And that is the reason why they say he got sparrows to fight hawks. Even though the Sikh Khalsa army was outnumbered by the Mughal army, they fought them for what was right. They fought them to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. That is a growth culture, but we've lost that. We have to support each other. If our children support other children to learn things that our children know, then we have made successful human beings. If we as parents and teachers and trustees of the Vidya Vichari Trust help each other in learning skills that we don't have, because we realize it's not a competition. It is a collective action that is going to make the world a better place tomorrow. Then we have succeeded in bringing up children who are going to be successful in their lives. So here are the key takeaways. The key takeaways are that we have to focus on durable skills, creative thinking, critical thinking, creativity, adaptability, ethics, and so on. We have to encourage our children to become lifelong learners. We have to teach them how to learn independently, and we have to lead by example. We have to show them that we mean and live by what we ask them to do. Become role models for them. Now, how do we translate all this into action? And what I'm suggesting to you is that we start in the GHPS schools an after school enrichment program. This will be organized by the Vidya Vichari Trust. This is a trust that consists of professionals that have proven that they are capable of being successful in the world that they've lived in. There are PhDs in genetics from All India Institute of Medical Sciences. There are PhDs in artificial intelligence, like myself. There are successful United Nations officers that have now retired, people who have done their medical degrees from AIMS, have gone on to be IAS officers and have then moved on to work for the United Nations. They are successful entrepreneurs. There is successful architects. All of these people have got together because they want your children to be successful. Why? Because we believe very strongly that to bring up children is the responsibility of a whole community, not just the responsibility of parents. And therefore, we are putting our time and our effort in working with you to make your children successful in an increasingly uncertain world. What activities are we thinking of organizing in these school enrichment programs? Cross-curricular, peer-led learning sessions. What does that mean? We are going to get children to teach each other. And why is that important? Well, there's a Nobel Prize winner in physics, somebody called Richard Feynman, who has said that the way to learn, the best way to learn is to teach. Because when you teach somebody, you realize what gaps you have in your own understanding. You then go and simplify your understanding, improve your understanding, and go back and teach again. And you identify other gaps. And as you identify these gaps, you study harder, you work towards trying to understand a concept better. And through this iterative process, you actually learn better. Now, I have been teaching for almost 30 years now in universities in England, in universities in India, in schools in India. And what I have learned is one thing, that when a child on Teacher's Day says, Happy Teacher's Day to me, the only response I can give the child is same to you. Because every child that I have interacted with has made me a better teacher, has made me understand concepts much better than when I got 98% in an examination on that topic. Because exams are one way of evaluation. The true evaluation of your understanding of a topic is teaching. Another topic that we're going to bring in within school enrichment is a reading club. And when I talk about a reading club here, it is about reading widely, about reading a large number of wide selection of books, understanding them, absorbing them, reflecting on them, writing your understanding of stories, writing about how you would change the story and why you would change it that way, and speaking about the book publicly, performing in front of people so that you are not only just looking at reading a lot and understanding the world better, you're also improving your writing skills and you're improving your public speaking skills and communication skills. Very important for the future. We are going to run model United Nations. These are going to be where children are going to be given topics. They have to represent views of different countries in the world on that topic. So it could be the war in the Middle East, for example. How are different countries going to be represented by children, giving their views or their stance or justifying why they are making the stance that they are? Kind of like debating, but on current issues. TED Talks, talking about something that you are passionate about. AI and robotics clubs, art, drama, sports. And this is just a selection of what we've been able to think about. If there are things that we haven't thought about, we would love to hear from you. We'd also like to learn from you what frequency we should run these enrichment sessions with. And so what we are going to do is we are going to send out to you, along with this video, a Google form. We would like you to fill the form. We are asking for a lot of data in that form about you, about your child, so that we can understand your situation better. And we can use that data to curate a program for school enrichment that is going to deliver what you have as aspirations for your children. So thank you for listening to me. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have. But what I'm going to do here is say one thing, a reminder that AI won't replace you, the person using it will. And therefore, learning these skills of AI and how to use AI are going to be very important, because the job market is going to exist for those who know how to use AI within their jobs. And we are here to work with you and with the school. The school has a lot to do from a CBSE curriculum perspective. We can't expect them to be delivering these, what are really industry relevant skills to your children. But we are here to do it with you, and we need your support to do this. And in case you had missed this, the after school enrichment activity we are going to pay for. So you are not going to have any fee for it. All we need is for you to trust us and to allow us to work with your children to make a better future, a brighter future for them. Thank you.